à-bas-le-ciel.
I like, say for instance, I put my hand out, a girl puts her hand on a table and another guy puts his hand on top of it. If she likes that guy, that'll send chills through her body. But if she hates him, it feels like dog shit. But it's the same exact touch.
À-bas-le-ciel.
But the funny thing is when we switch into this topic of, serious mental disorders, whether it's schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, diagnosed manic depression or something, now we're talking about a difference between people that's very real. That's very real. And it's in some sense biological or what have you. I'm not saying it's your inescapable destiny or, I've met different people who cope with different disorders in different ways. But even, one of my brothers was born dyslexic, changes his whole life. Dyslexia isn't that serious compared to being a schizophrenic. But, I can't, so he and I have a lot of the same DNA, obviously. But he's a totally different person from me, from kind of root to branch. And if I had been born dyslexic, it's very difficult for me to imagine how different I'd be, just if reading were difficult, So, it is sad. Obviously, I wish, I've said before, like if durianrider had just stayed in his job as a bike mechanic, nobody would even have to mention, that he has these serious disorders or what have you. But yeah, when you're talking about someone in a position of real political leadership, which is something he now claims. He didn't claim that just a few years ago. Someone who's in a position of political leadership and political movement, and someone who's giving like serious health advice to other people, like telling other people to quit their meds, telling other people to make decisions that really change their life, quit their job, quit their meds, do all kinds, and people really take that advice. Then yes, I think the questions of mental health, reliability, become very, very, very serious.
Well, yeah, it's bad too because he goes after young people who are very easily convinced by this sort of thing, and seems like people who aren't getting very good help professionally, like through drugs or something, or haven't just gotten it yet. Like, he's going after them, and it's pretty brutal. Like, Julia Bohr, she seems like she's one of those people who is suffering from untreated depression, and, yeah, then here's durianrider giving some really bad advice. Eat lots of processed sugar to lose weight, which she obviously has a weight issue, and it's making her even more depressed, and then telling her to only date guys with fucking vasectomies. Like, it's just horrible.
I just say I think the young people are overrepresented on camera. It's the young people that you see on YouTube. But one of the things I talked about, there's one professional journalist who talked to me, who interviewed me, and she's actually going to interview me again because she's writing a newspaper story about our fascinating lives as vegans on the internet. But one of the things I emphasized to her, I said, no, like, it was kind of the same thing with the anti-war movement. Like, if you're talking about protests against the Vietnam War or any anti-war movement, like the newspapers, they photograph the young, beautiful people, and it looks like the protest is just tended by young, beautiful people, but actually there were grandparents there, And I said to her, no, like, because I would just been in Chiang Mai. I said, no, one of the things that makes it so sad is that this impacts people who are in the prime of their life, people who are middle-aged, and it impacts people who are actually elderly and retired. And you see them there. They're just not the ones. They're either not on YouTube or nobody's watching their channel. Like, they may have a YouTube channel with very, very few viewers. And like in some ways that's even more sad. So Joe Vegan has now come to fame by basically doing a comedy act. He had an earlier video before he really started doing the comedy video where he just talked about his and his wife's experience, that they became true believers in durianrider and then later lost their faith. But they went the whole route where just even small things where they would refuse to drink tea, they refused to drink any caffeine, they refused to take a taxi to the airport, they rode their bicycles to the airport, etc. They just a whole bunch of funny things where they were really trying to live the durianrider lifestyle full time. And I think he quit his job so they could go to Chiang Mai and meet the great guru. Like, they really became cult-like followers. And again, obviously it's not like that for everyone, but it is for some people. They were not teenagers. They were married, middle-aged people with normal jobs, so far as I know. So they're not the classic profile of the cult victim, and I think that's the large number of people there. Now, again, someone could correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that when Unnatural Vegan became a true believer, when she decided to stop using toothpaste, I think she was 27. Someone could tell. I might be off a little bit. She was not a teenager. She'd finished a university degree in philosophy. I don't know what job she did. I've never heard her mention any job. Not hating, just saying I have no idea what kind of career she had. But these are fully grown, mature adults, and something hooks them, and then they ignore all the red flags. You know what I mean?
I think it's just irresistible temptation kind of thing. Like, oh my God, I can eat whatever I want and stay slim, not have to work a real job. I don't know. Maybe some people just really want that and think they can sort of have that.
Well,
and that's what hooks them in.
Well, so I study politics. I also study religion, like including cult aspects of religion. But I think the one aspect that's really different about this in veganism from, say, Buddhist cults or Hindu cults or even Christian cults, and the different political forms of political extremism I've studied, is the body image issue, which is one of your strengths on your channel. You talk a lot about that, this kind of magnetic power of wanting to look like He-Man or wanting to look like a Dragon Ball Z character, what have you. I have one woman, I'm going to try to do a Skype conversation with her in the future. I have one woman email me, and she was a fully mature adult. And like most of these people, she was already in good shape. She was already basically slim and muscular. She wasn't overweight at all. She was basically a good-looking, healthy woman. And we had just a couple messages back and forth. She talked how she had become a devotee of Freely, and then eventually lost her faith, and she gained weight. When she switched to Freely's diet, she lost all her muscle tone and gained weight and had all these other problems. But when I pushed her on the issue a little bit, I said, this is my analysis situation. She wrote back and said, yeah, you know what? When I saw, the first time I saw Freely's abdomen, Freely's midsection, I thought, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to look like that.
Right.
Yeah, and she ignored all the red flags after that, right? She ignored all the obvious warnings.
Yeah, it's weird. I think body image is just this issue we're having with body image. It's sort of a result of just really privileged living.
Yeah.
I know, like even the Egyptians way back when, they just had really, really easy lives otherwise. Like they lived right next to the Nile, they had easy access to food, and super, super body conscious people. And I think that's what it is, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it becomes part of your identity, though, this urge to look a certain way. Like a lot of bodybuilders and shit, like if they didn't have muscle, they wouldn't be anyone. Like it's so important to them to take roids, get as huge as they possibly can, get ripped and shredded, and it's part of their identity. And Freely's kind of made that a part of her identity, and I guess other people just want that.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Now, again, so the very first thing we talked about is that I tell people all the time I'm not a nice guy. I sometimes warn people, look, I'm a bit of a jerk. In whatever terms are appropriate to the conversation or the relationship, I kind of let people know I don't play the games other people do. I had a girlfriend, white Canadian girlfriend, and she was a very nice person. She always said, hi, how are you? Hope you're having a great day and all that shit. And she was a very attractive person. She had a beautiful face. In many ways, her body was very obviously attractive to heterosexual men. But, in terms of like her knees and the shape of her legs, like just the bone structure, diet and exercise will never change it. She was never going to be a woman who showed off her legs in a miniskirt. She had a lot of advantages in life. A lot, but that was not one of them. And I remember I was just stunned. We were walking down the street once together, and there was a woman who was wearing a mini skirt or something like that, a revealing skirt, another white Canadian woman. And my girlfriend, she froze up. She clung to my arm a little bit, and she looked away, and she said, I don't know if I can walk down this street because, like, seeing that woman's legs makes me feel so bad about my own body. And, like, I didn't want to make her feel like garbage, but my actual response was to start telling her about a story I had just been reading about a man in Cambodia who has no legs. Like, that was the research I was doing at the time. I was like, and it was just saying to her honestly, like, I've just never thought of my body that way at all. Like, I know, like, for you on some deep level, and she's with me, and she's having sex with me on a daily basis. There's no competition for me. This other woman is not trying to seduce me. Like, I understand really feeling the way if another woman is trying to seduce your man or some psychologically okay, I imagine. But it's like on some level, you feel like you're in competition with every other woman who's breathing. For every other man, I guess, all the time. And that gets to you. And for me, like, I really think about my legs as taking me where I want to go, which for me included Cambodia. Like, at that time already, I was studying Cambodian as a language. And I was planning to go to Cambodia and do humanitarian work. But I'm thinking about digging ditches or working on a farm in Cambodia. That's the kind of experience I wanted to have. You know what I mean? What if people in Cambodia think my legs are ugly? You know? So what? You know, anyway, sorry. I mean, it's shallow and it's deep at the same time. But like for me, the main reason I'm reflecting on this is that those issues, that category of body image issues, and selling a person a dream of what their body can be like, that's really different from anything in Buddhism, communism, democracy, the different political categories I talk about. And ultimately, so much of it is just, you're just born with it and you can't change it in terms of what people obsess over, like the shape of your legs, the shape of your knees. Yeah.
It took a while for me to get over some of my body image issues. The photos that I use for my profile picture, the one where I'm doing like a side tricep pose, that was in my last bodybuilding show like 2-3 years ago now. That was when I was vegan. I was so fucking lean then, and I dieted so fucking hard, and even despite that, I still felt fat. Like, it's weird. The body dysmorphic disorders and obsession with body image takes a while. Getting perspective, just getting older, and, getting a girlfriend recently has helped too, so.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I mean, like, some people say I'm an egomaniac or whatever. But those types of insecurities I've just never felt. I've never, it's never been a struggle of I'm not good enough or I'm not pretty enough, and that that may make me an asshole. But all the time here in China, people talk to me about workout. Like people at the gym, like ask me to show them how I'm lifting and stuff because I work out in a different way from Chinese people. I'm not an expert on bodybuilding at all or anything, and all the time I tell people the only reason I'm exercising is to be prepared for violence. That's how I say it in Chinese. I'm saying it really simply. Like, that's it. And that's how it's been, my whole adult life. But, this stuff, it's not evil. People want to be loved. People want to feel important. People want to feel beautiful. I guess that's the most fundamental one, though, is wanting to feel important. And I guess being beautiful is maybe the easiest or most obvious way to be important, right?
À-bas-le-ciel.
I mean, think about it. Like, say, for instance, you fly and you got 10 chicks. That means you'd have to fuck 2 of them a day. You'd have to fuck 2 bitches a day, every day of the week. Say, not counting the weekends. But you're only fucking the girls on Mondays, so they don't see you for a whole nother week. That becomes work. The girl you missed Tuesday, she like, I ain't seen you in 8 days. Let me stop talking this pimping. Man, look, just get one girl and rest your nerve.